Hello, my fellow nerds, and welcome back to D's Nerds. I'm Chris.
And I'm Michelle.
And today we are ranking our top 6 favorite Universal monsters. So with it being October on the channel, of course, that's Halloween season, and we figured what better way to celebrate Halloween than by kind of talking about Universal monsters and ranking our favorite monsters. Now, these are prime watching in our household during this time of year. And so I know for myself, kind of, it started back when I was a little kid. My parents showed me these and I fell in love with them. I still love them. I love that they're short. I love the atmosphere, the kind of creepiness behind it. It's not too scary, though, and perfect for showing kids as well, I think. So, like I said, I started off loving them as a kid. And Michelle, I know you had a little bit different path.
Yeah, I didn't actually see any of these until after we were married, and Christopher bought this set.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually our first Universal Monster set, and it contains all the movies that we're going to talk about today, plus one that we're not.
Mm-hmm.
So this was my first exposure, and I absolutely fell in love with them. They're so much fun, and I can appreciate that it's a lot of good actors just acting on screen and not having a ton of extra things happening. So it's kind of nice for a change with a lot of the things we see now.
And with it being horror, of course, that means that they're just chewing the scenery and having a good time with it. So kind of which ones are we considering when we're ranking those monsters? Mainly, we're considering like the core 6, which everybody knows as the Wolfman,
Dracula,
Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster,
Creature from the Black Lagoon,
and the Mummy.
and last but not least, the Invisible Man.
Absolutely. So I figure, once again, like with the rest of our ranked series that we've been doing, I don't know how she's ranked them. She doesn't know how I've ranked them. We're just going to kind of reveal 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and see which one we ranked at the top. So, all right, let's begin. All right, so we're going to do our number 6 pick in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, you picked the Invisible Man.
And you picked the Invisible Man.
Wow. Dang, we started off on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
That's called a marriage win right there. I know for me, I adore the physics. The great thing about all of these monsters is they're all interesting and they're all really cool. It's just kind of like, my least favorite to my most favorite, but, I love them all. But Claude Rains in this role is just spectacular. I mean, you think about it, he literally had to perform without being able to use his face, without being able to give those subtle cues that everyone depends on as an actor. He had to do it all with his voice, and in some cases he got to use body language, in some cases he didn't. So I really love this movie, but I will say it does rank at the bottom of the list for me.
I think for me, it's not as monstery, and I like the more monstery ones. But that being said, it is really good. Claude Rains is great. The one that we didn't rank out of the other box sets, which is Phantom of the Opera, is also Claude Rains, and I adore him in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it just was the one that we didn't feel like fit in this little ranked video.
Yeah, the Phantom of the Opera, but it's a really good version of Phantom of the Opera, and the music's great in it, and of course Claude Rains, he kills it. But yeah, I think we both ranked it last. I'm not surprised we both ranked it last, but it's still a great movie, and still a great monster we're checking out. All right, our number 5 pick in 3, 2, 1, boom. All right, you ranked the Creature. I ranked the Wolfman. All right, so what was your reasoning behind ranking the Creature from the Black Lagoon as number 5?
I enjoy the Creature, but I will say when I was thinking about these, because the sets we have all these sequels and things in them, I was kind of considering which sequels I've really enjoyed so far.
Mm-hmm.
And this was not one I've felt that with as much. So I do really enjoy this one a lot. Like he said, it's really just least favorite to most favorite, but it was lower on the list for me than others.
And for myself, the Wolfman, Lon Chaney Jr., again, I don't have any criticisms about this, but it's just kind of, I think that's the theme of this video, is least favorite to most favorite. But, Lon Chaney Jr. just kills it as Larry Talbot and the Wolfman. I do think it probably suffers the most it and the Invisible Man suffer the most from the special effects of the period, because it is a little wonky in that he's in like completely different clothes, and then he changes into the Wolfman, and he like changes his shirt and everything, and so the transition effects are a little understandably dated. I mean, it was really the beginning of the sound era those first 10 years or so. So I completely understand why, but it just makes it to number 5. Although, like I said, I really, really love this film. Our number 4 pick is I Have the Mummy.
And I Have the Mummy.
Dang, we're kind of... So I'll go on my end. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, Boris Karloff, he's amazing in this role, and he's so creepy. It is kind of interesting in that the mummy only looks like a mummy for the first
5 minutes,
5 to 10 minutes of the movie. So it is very good. It's just number 4. It's just a personal preference. So why did you rank it number 4?
Again, I love the first one, but for me, we started watching some of the sequels, and I've been less impressed with the sequels than I have on some of the other ones. So I kind of try to think of them as a whole, since we're ranking the monsters, not necessarily the specific movies. As far as the monsters, it was not one I enjoyed as much as others going through the whole set.
So our number 3 pick is... You ranked the Wolfman as number 3, and I ranked the Creature from the Black Lagoon as number 3. So why did you pick the Wolfman at number 3 there, Michelle?
I love Lon Chaney Jr. in this. He's so sweet and so tragic, and I love it so much. And the sequel, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, is actually one of my favorite sequels.
Yeah, that's a rocking sequel.
It's so good.
Absolutely. And I don't know, I love the creature. He's so cool, and I think it benefits. I mean, this one is in the mid-50s. This is, out of the Universal Monsters, this one is by far the one that was done the latest in line. Most of them were done in the 30s. The Wolfman was done in the early 40s, and then this one came out in the mid-50s. It benefits from better special effects. The underwater sequences are amazing, and it's a different type, and it works perfectly. And I think we just watched this last night, and I still really adore this.
I just wish they could have given him a better mask, because he's like...
Yeah, that's true.
And his face is just frozen except for his mouth making the fish face.
Like at one point in time, like we were watching the movie and I start going, and you're like, what? And I just point up there, you're like, oh. But I mean, like I said, it's a great monster movie, and great actors and actresses are in it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, we're down to the top 2. Where are we going to go with this? And I kind of have a feeling where we're going to go, because I think we've been kind of on the same page, except in
we just
one
had
or 2
2
instances.
flopped.
Yeah. So, all right, our number 2 pick is Frankenstein. Well, this is kind of a boring one, isn't it? We're just again, we have not talked about how we rank this. For myself, I think I will say this. I think as far as the series goes, the Frankenstein series is by far the strongest one, because you have Frankenstein,
Son of Frankenstein. Oh, Bride
of Frankenstein, then Son of Frankenstein, then Ghost of Frankenstein, and they're all really consistent.
And then Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman.
The watchability of those consistently, and I would say, especially for back in the 30s, is really impressive. And Boris Karloff, I think that's his defining role, and I think it makes complete sense. What thoughts did you have on why you ranked it number 2?
Funnily enough, for me, those movies actually get better as they go.
Yeah.
Actually, my favorite one is Son of Frankenstein, which is appropriate because I also love Young Frankenstein, which is a Mel Brooks film, which is completely different, but also very much worth watching.
Which I guess you could, kind of the way they lay it out in Young Frankenstein, it kind of sort of is a pseudo kind of a sequel. I guess you could, if you wanted to play it in your head canon that way. But yeah, I mean, the great performances. I mean, when we talk about Boris Karloff, but Dr. Frankenstein, Clive Owen. Oh, I mean, the infamous, it's alive. I mean, it's cliche now, but he is so wonderful in that. Edward Van Sloan as the professor, who's also in Dracula as Van Helsing. I mean, he's great in this, and I love the beginning of the first Frankenstein movie where Edward Van Sloan comes out and basically is like, this movie's going to scare you, and, well, we warned you, kind of a thing. And, of course, the Simpsons like to kind of make fun with that in some of their Treehouse of Horrors, where Marge kind of comes out and says, look, this is going to be really scary. So, I mean, really, if you watch this having watched other things, you're going to think there's a ton of cliches. that are in this, but you have to understand these films invented the cliche. And so, any other thoughts on that?
Well, I will say, if you've ever seen Young Frankenstein and didn't get all of the jokes, you kind of have to go back and watch this whole series because they're riddled with the jokes all throughout them. That's where they've pulled things from. But I would also like to say about Basil Rathbone's performance in Son of Frankenstein, awesome.
Yeah, Basil Rathbone, of course, we both love him. I love him as Sherlock Holmes back in during that time period as well. And yeah, totally, Frankenstein, awesome.
Which leaves us with number 1, which is
Dracula. Wow. I think this was the first one I showed you.
I think it was.
And I mean, we talk about like starting the cliche. I mean, the cliche becomes a cliche because it has been done a lot, and so it becomes kind of old hat. Well, Dracula, to me, a lot of the things that we associate with vampires started with this performance and Bela Lugosi's performance. Weirdly enough, he only portrayed Dracula on film twice. I think one of them was in a Abbott and Costello film, and just the one film from 1931. But it completely defined Dracula, and it's different than Bram Stoker had in his novel. But, I mean, he is so perfect in this movie, and some things that they say are kind of stagey about this. I mean, you gotta understand, it was just coming out of the silent era of films, and so they didn't quite understand how to use sound to effect. But there's also, I mean, the silence, there's no score. The silence in it works really good. And, again, great performances. Edward Van Sloan as Van Helsing. He's just amazing in this. So, what were your thoughts on the film?
Well, obviously I love Bela Lugosi, but then Dwight Frye killing it.
Oh, yeah, Dwight Frye.
Yes.
Yes.
He's so crazy creepy.
Yeah. I've completely forgot him. Yeah, he's amazing.
Yes.
I mean, like I said, it's completely worth it. And the great thing about most of these films is they're less than 90 minutes. In a lot of cases, they're like an hour long. So, if you're kind of in the middle of October time and you're like, man, I don't know what to watch, and you don't really want to pop in a movie, usually popping in one of these, you're going to get between an hour and a half. I think we watched one of the Mummy movies the other night, and it was literally like right at an hour. So, these are totally worth it. And these sets are awesome. I know they also did a big box set, including all of them thrown in here. So I fully recommend watching these. They're definitely great, and they're great for kids. Like we have Charlotte watching. She's 3, and it really doesn't bother her all that much. So fully recommend these films especially for classic horror fans. It's definitely the starting point that you need to start at. It's like Exhibit A, and then you move throughout. So.
And I also think it's really fun that as some movies and directors you see now will share a lot of the same actors across movies, there are a lot of actors in these that cross over into the other franchises. So Dwight Frye you see in other movies. You see Bela Lugosi cross over into other movies. So it's kind of cool to watch. I mean, even some of this, like the side characters in these, you keep seeing them in other ones playing different roles. So I enjoy that about it. And
you can almost make the case that it was kind of connected in a way. A lot of these were. Like, of course, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman really does literally connect them. And you could definitely say it is basically a crossover into existing kind of storylines. But yeah, I mean, I can sit here and talk about these all day. I mean, they're so much fun, and it's also a great nostalgic kick as well. So would love to kind of hear your rankings on your top or how you would rank these monsters. Please let us know in the comments as well. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you like what we're doing here at D's Nerds, and don't forget to ring that bell icon so you know whenever we have videos coming out. Also, we are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so whichever social media you like to be on, you can follow us there and see what we're doing with content there. And anything else you want to add, Michelle?
Stay scared, have fun, watch some movies.
Absolutely. We're going to be posting more Halloween-related content as we go throughout the rest of this month. So, guys, happy Halloween, and we appreciate everything. So until next time, I'm Chris.
I'm Michelle.
And we are D's Nerds, and you guys have a great, safe rest of the day. Bye, guys.